Everybody, today we're gonna be reacting to another Weebo Union video. Without wasting time, let's dive right back into it. Let's go.
Welcome to another update. In this one, I'll be covering the latest news from the Bakhmut front, as there has been some new updates on the flank, and also within the city, as Prigozhin has made a recent interview, and in it he talks about the losses of both sides, both the Wagner side and the Ukrainian side, throughout the Battle of Bakhmut. We have to, of course, take this with a grain of salt, because he's a partner in this, he is the leader of Wagner, he has an interest in exaggerating the enemy's losses and underestimating his own losses. But let's look at it and see what he has to say. So he says in Bakhmut, he fought against superior forces and destroyed about 50,000 Ukrainian forces and wounded up to 70,000. There's 120,000 casualties, of which 50,000 is killed. So we can already see that the kills to wounded ratio is much higher than normal. Wagner had 3.2 times fewer dead and armed forces of Ukraine, and about 2 times fewer wounded. So 3.2 times fewer dead, that is 50,000 divided by 3.2, that's about 15,000. And then 70,000 divided by 2, that's 35,000. Then he says that in the Wagner had within Bakhmut 50,000 people at its best, and the armed forces of Ukraine 82,000. So we see here that the estimate I made many months ago was actually accurate, and that is about how many soldiers they had there according to Prigozhin. And the ratio for the assault should be 3-1 for the attackers. Normally, when you attack some place to essentially secure your victory, you should number 3 times as many as your opponent. Well, we can see here that 50,000 gets 82,000, that is about 50% less. So with this we see that the Russian forces were significantly outnumbered in Bakhmut, and yet still managed to capture it, according to Prigozhin. During the operation, I chose 50,000 prisoners, 20% of them died, another 20% were injured. So 10,000 dead prisoners and 10,000 wounded prisoners, of which in the Wagner PMC, about 15,000 were died, about 50,000 had died, about 15,000 had died, and 35,000 wounded. If only 10,000 Wagner prisoners were wounded, that means 25,000 Wagner operational soldiers were wounded, and if 10,000 Wagner prisoners were killed, only 5,000 Wagner soldiers were killed. So this means that despite Wagner soldiers being significantly outnumbered by Wagner prisoners, they received significantly more wounded and much fewer killed, which may indicate that Wagner prioritized their healthcare, their hospital spaces and so on, to the active soldiers over the prisoners. So they let the prisoners die while they protected their own soldiers, or as he mentioned in a previous interview, the prisoners may fight recklessly, and because they aren't properly trained, they may fight recklessly, which would cause more deaths in total, while the professional soldiers fight more carefully, which means that they're less likely to get fatal hits, which means that they're less likely to get fatally hit. So there are a bunch of factors, cannot determine, maybe it's a mix of all of them. And then he says the goal wasn't to capture the city, but the meat grinder, and that it was completed. And then we have a recent update from Remy, where he says that Russian forces, not Wagner forces, but Russian forces, made a small attack here in the flank and managed to recapture some positions that they had previously retreated from. And if we look at Deep State's map, we see that these are actually some heights here by the Berivka area. So the Russians retreated beyond losing control over the heights. Now the Ukrainian forces have been pushed back again, and the Russian forces managed to recapture these heights by the reservoir. And that is all for this update. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.
Yeah, that's the one thing I could say. Like, Bakhmut fast forward, I was wondering which city will be next. It was an African reaction. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys on my channel next time. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Bye.